One of the places that we get to go hog hunting with Ironman Outdoors, because we work with Christian landowners, we get to go all over the place, and God has really opened up a lot of doors doing that. And one of our favorite places is down in Alkaloo, South Carolina. It's very close to Santee. It's on the Black River, and it's really got a strong population of hogs, and they're devastating some crops and things down there. So we had, I think, 2 hog retreats on this particular piece of property. We had set up our feeders about a month before the retreat, came in, had a couple of different weekends where we brought guys in and had retreats. And the landowner has just been so generous to us, and he actually came to me and he said, "Patrick, my pastor of my church is about to die to kill a wild hog. Would you mind leaving a couple of your feeders out after you guys finish with your retreats so that my pastor could come out here and hunt a little bit?" And I said, that would be a great idea, and maybe if it's okay with you, I could come back and try to film one. So along about early April, we go down into the swamp, and the rain has just flooded this entire place, which is a great thing for hogs. They love, the more water, the better. We go in there, and we walk in knee-deep water, sloshing around. We get set up, and I actually knew ahead of time that there was one particular hog that was coming to the feeder every evening about 7 o'clock. Now, the problem with hogs is a lot of times they don't come in until right at dark, and with a camera, especially a high-definition camera, you don't have a lot of light when those hogs come in. But I knew from a trail camera that I had set up on the feeder that this one big black hog was coming in every evening at about 7 o'clock. So me and one of my buddies, we go down there and we get set up, and we're going to go after this particular hog. Hey, it's April the 3rd, and I know what you're thinking. Why is that idiot in a tree stand? How come he isn't turkey hunting? We had the opportunity to ride down here and hunt hogs on one of our favorite spots where we do retreats, Ironman retreats. And we got a feeder that's been going off. It's been about a month since we did our last retreat down here. So this feeder's been going off about every morning and evening for the past month without being hunted. And it has rained cats and dogs for 5 solid days. I mean, we had to walk in, 2 feet, 3 feet deep water just to get in here. But of course, hogs like muddy water, and hogs like swampy land, so we'll see what happens this afternoon. So we get set up in the tree stands, and it is literally about 7 o'clock, and the feeder had gone off about 5 minutes before, and all of a sudden we hear what sounds like a hog splashing through the water. I mean, he's not walking, he's running, and whatever it is big, because it's making a lot of noise coming through the woods. And sure enough, right on time, here comes in by himself a big black boar. He's about 200 pounds on the hoof, as best I can tell. This hog comes in, and just like any big hog, any smart boar, he circles and he sort of comes in from the downwind side, and he comes right up underneath the feeder. I mean, things could not be working out any better than they are tonight. This guy's coming in, he's right underneath the feeder. We get probably 2 or 3 minutes worth of footage before he gives us just the right angle to where I want to make a shot with my bow. Now, if you've ever hog hunted with a bow and arrow, you know that this is a difficult challenge. I mean, these animals are a prehistoric kind of animal. They've got this big shield, this big plate that protects their vitals. And so when you're making a shot with a bow, you have really got to make the right kind of shot. There is no room for error when you're hunting wild hogs with a bow. It's not like a deer where as long as you hit him anywhere kind of in the vitals or anywhere in the lungs, he's going to go down and you're going to find him. A hog, you have got to shoot him a little bit lower than you normally would on a deer. This hog gets in there, and I draw back, and I'm taking my time. I'm relaxed. I get that pin, my 20-yard pin, right on this hog, and I hold it, and I squeeze off what I think is a really good shot. As soon as I shoot him, I mean, it's just commotion. There's splashing water. He is taking off. We hear him running through the swamp. I mean, we call it the thick and nasty because it is really thick and nasty in there. And I hear him go, and I think I hear him crash about 50 yards away. I turned to my buddy and I said, We got this hog. This is a done deal. He's laying right over there. Let's give him a few minutes. After all we had was a bow. Let's give him just a few minutes and let's see if he'll, pass on his own. Well, the interesting part of the story is we spent probably 2 hours that night looking for that hog, and I'm talking about on our hands and knees. It's just this wall of vegetation all the way around us. We've got our flashlights. We had about 3 flashlights with us, and we've got a good blood trail. Probably tracked this hog for no less than a half a mile and still didn't have a hog. We looked up at one point, and we are, wall-to-wall vegetation. And I looked at my buddy and I said, "Do you know where the truck is?" And he said, "I don't have a clue." Finally, at about 10:30 that night, we threw in the towel. We said, "You know what? We cannot find this hog." The blood trail had run out at that point. We were just hoping at that point we could find our way back to the truck. And we found our way back, made it out of there that night, really just disgusted that we didn't find that hog because it was a beautiful hog. Would have been great to throw on the grill. Anyway, the story gets kind of better. I had forgotten that I had left that camera on that tripod feeder. I forgot that I had the camera there, and I just went back probably 3 weeks later, and I was pulling the feeder and everything out of there. We were sort of done hunting hogs on that property, and I thought, well, I'll get my camera. And when I got home, not even the same day, maybe 4 or 5 days after I got home, I pulled that card out of that camera, and I said, well, let me just see what's on here, just, on the computer, and pulled it up. And lo and behold, there is the hog the very next night after we shot him at 7 o'clock. The very next evening, here's this hog with a bloody spot right there on his shoulder where I had shot him. And I thought, well, surely that hog will die. And then I kept looking at more pictures, and from 2 weeks later, after we had shot him that night, there's the same hog again with a scabbed over wound on his side. And that hog, I'm sure, is still walking around on that property today. The lesson learned for me as a bow hunter with hogs is you got to aim low and you got to make the perfect shot, or you're not going to find that hog, particularly when it's in a thick and nasty kind of area like a swamp. Those are tough animals, but they're a lot of fun to hunt.